What's up, everybody? Welcome back. I am Abe, and this is EVE Online, and we are going through the patch notes for EVE Online Lifeblood, which launched today, what is probably just a few hours ago. So I'm going to post this on Wednesday, the following day, just because I can't move time and have this go live before it actually went up so that we can go through it. But let's go through it together. I went over yesterday kind of what the high-level stuff is, and this is the specifics, so we'll jump right into it. We've got the same little YouTube video that they want you to watch. We're still not going to watch that because we're just not going to. So let's see. All graphic SDKs used by the game client have been updated. Let's see what that has to say. Okay. PhysX functionality and options have been removed. Replaced the morphine animation system used by the character creator with Granny 3D. Okay, that doesn't mean anything to me. It may mean something to you. Next item is the mining ledger. A new mining ledger is available. Read the dev blog, and we can maybe do that. Let's see here. I'm gonna pop that. Nope. Bloop. Here we go. All right. Nope. That is not what we're looking at here. There we go. Well, we'll just stay in this window. We won't pop it out any separately. Dog is having a psychotic episode next to me. But all right, the new mining ledger is available. All personal mining activity is now logged and available in the personal ledger. This ledger tracks all mining of ore, gas, and ice anywhere in New Eden. So this kind of answers some of the questions that we had about whether it tracks mining activity of just people in your general area, and it doesn't sound like it does. All mining activity that takes place in an asteroid field created by a refinery, mining moon materials, will now be logged in the corporation ledger of the owners of the refinery that created the field at the time of the mining took place. Now, that basically means that it will be tracking everybody, but only in these refinery-created mining fields. So if you go to a regular asteroid field like you have in the past, I don't think that you're going to, you're not going to be tracking other people's mining in your ledger. So let's see, miscellaneous. Players are now able to set an ISK wager when dueling. That's kind of cool. Following item types have been changed. Rattlesnake Victory Edition to Rattlesnake plus Garista's Victory Skin. Rattlesnake Victory Edition Blueprint to Garista's Victory Skin. Okay. Added chat channels for Resource Wars. That's cool. That'll probably help with the matchmaking, which hopefully we'll see more information on. Added 4 new skins for Resource Wars, 1 per empire. These skins are volatile, quote unquote. They are destroyed if a ship with the skin applied is destroyed. The skins are not tradable. That's an interesting twist. Let's see. Missions and NPCs. Resource Wars have been introduced to Empire space in New Eden. Read the dev blog with details about the Resource Wars. Okay, so we can go back and click through all of these dev blogs, but that may be a lot of information. But we'll get through the high level stuff, and then we'll go back and maybe see what the dev blogs look like. So let's see. 5 levels of new mining expedition sites are now available for each empire across high-sec space. Join your empire in these resource gathering expeditions and defeat the pirate forces before the timer expires. 4 new LP stores added all over high security space, 1 for each of the Resource Wars corporations. Participate in the Resource War and earn your reward crates. A number of Amar and Minmatar NPC corps have been updated to reflect current state of world in lore. Okay, so that's more factions to gain standing with and to earn LP with, and to see what's worth saving up for in those LP stores. So that's an interesting addition as well. The pirate forward operating bases, the Garistas and Blood Raiders FOBs, can now be found in New Eden. And let's see what more there is to learn about those. They're in high security space, 0.5 and above, so I guess that answers what we were talking about yesterday as well. They're more likely to be found in systems with a lower security rating, so they're more popular or more common in 0.5 and less common in 1.0. They can be probe scanned down using combat probes, but be warned when you find them, they will be viciously defended. So that goes hand in hand with what we were talking about yesterday, where there's going to be a pretty heavy enemy contingent that is present with some of these things. Now, it'll be interesting to see if this overlaps with the Resource Wars aspect of it as well, or whether it's just sort of a separate component. So if you use combat scan probes or combat probes to scan these down, I guess that stands to reason that they're combat oriented. So the fleet that does the most damage to a destroyed FOB will receive a payout from DED. All right, that's cool. There may also be valuable armored caches in the wreck of the FOB. Great. We got loot. It's basically like a little dungeon there. And damn it, every time I do this, I feel like I should turn my ringer off, and it doesn't occur to me until I get a text in the middle of recording. Moving on, Garista's shipyards can be found in New Eden. They are in and near regions with Garista's pirates. That makes sense. There can be up to 2 Garista's shipyards in nullsec and 1 in lowsec. They drop blueprints for the Garista's loggerhead, Cayman, and Komodo capital ships, which again answers some of the questions we were asking yesterday. Modules, several modules have been modified to be able to fit to the new Garista capital ships. The modules that have been adjusted to fit the Komodo and Cayman. The Fighter Support Unit 1, Hermes Compact Fighter Support Unit, the Fighter Support Unit 2, Sentient Fighter Support Unit. All right, now we've got a bunch of unit numbers here, so bear with me. Unit D, 34343's Modified Fighter Support Unit. Unit F, 435454's. Unit P, 343554's. And Unit W, 634's, all of which being Modified Fighter Support Units. Modules that have been modified to be able to fit to the Komodo, the Aurora Omine thermal doomsday device, the Phalerica thermal lance, the Guillotine thermal reaper, the Oblivion kinetic doomsday, Iron Pike kinetic lance, Gold Wind kinetic reaper, bosonic field generator, and gravitational transportation field oscillator. There's a lot of big words there. Getting into more into the moon mining aspect of it, the act of mining moon materials from moons has been changed. Read the overview dev blog. Moon mining is now exclusive to a new line of upwell structures called refineries. Moon mining extractions are configured and started through the extraction scheduler, which is available when a Moon Drill 1 service module is online in a refinery. Extractions can be configured and started by any person who has access to, quote, take control of the structure. However, only those pilots with access to control the structure and the station manager role with the corporation that owns the structure are able to cancel an extraction. So let's see. The distribution of mineable materials across all moons in low-sec and null-sec space, with a few exemptions for the very large moons which cannot be mined, has been reseeded using the seed nominated by the community and voted for by EVE Vegas 2017 attendees. Further details about the changes in composition of moons and their distribution can be found in yet another dev blog. 75 new ore types have been added for moon mining. Okay, so that's a lot. Not sure there's a value in me reading through all of them, but there's 3 variations of 25 different items. Each of them are a major source of some mineral that you might want, including promethium, thulium, neodymium, dysprosium, mercury, cesium, and hafnium, and so on and so forth. So 1 new higher quality variant of each Veldspar, Scordiate, Pyroxeres, Plagioclase, Amber, Kernite, and so on, for all of those except for Mercoxic. I don't see it on the list. So previously there have been 2 qualities, and it sounds like there's a 3rd quality now. Previously the 2 qualities add like 5% yield and 10% yield when you use them, and it sounds like they're adding a 3rd. So hopefully that'll be an even higher yield, maybe 15%, in addition to what you normally would get. Let's see, 10 new mining crystals have been added, a Tech 1 and Tech 2 version for each of the new rarity groups used by moon material ore. Each crystal provides bonuses to the mining or all the ores within its target rarity group. Ubiquitous moon ore mining crystal 1 and 2, and common, uncommon, rare, and exceptional. So there's a Tech 1 and Tech 2 for all of those. Moving on to reactions. Reactions are now only possible in upwell refineries. Read the dev blog for full details about these changes. 3 new service modules have been introduced which can be installed in refineries. These modules enable you to produce Tech 2, Tech 3, and booster materials. Stand-up Composite Reactor 1 performs both simple and advanced reactions. Standard Biochemical Reactor 1 performs both biochemical and medium biochemical reactions. And Stand-up Hybrid Reactor 1 performs hybrid reactions, which would be for Tech 3. Currently existing POS reactor arrays have been offlined. POS reactor arrays no longer perform reactions of any kind. Any reactions that were running at the time of this release have been stopped and will not be able to be restarted in a POS reactor array. All such arrays have been offline since this release but remain anchored. POS reactor arrays will not be able to be online again. No new arrays will be able to be manufactured, and no new arrays can be anchored. Any jobs to manufacture arrays that are running at the time of the release will continue to run, will not be paused or canceled, and the arrays will be delivered to the manufacturer once the job is completed. It will not be possible to anchor or online these arrays. So it sounds like you want to get online and cancel your manufacturing jobs. A compensation plan will be put in place in the future to reimburse the investment capsuleers have put into this equipment. Reactions activity now uses the standard industry UI and is governed by a separate system cost index when calculating the cost of a job. Reaction formulas can be repackaged. Moving on to science and industry. Industry, the maximum amount of industry runs has been reduced to 10,000 due to performance concerns. Also in industry, it is no longer possible to start or deliver an industry job which would exceed the item limit for the output location. This is mostly relevant for copy jobs. The volume of all hydrogen isotopes, helium isotopes, oxygen isotopes, and nitrogen isotopes have been cut in half to 0.05 cubic meters per unit. Moving on to ships, which, at least for me, is of particular interest. We are making a balanced pass on Tech 1 frigates, destroyers, and cruisers, focused on strengthening less popular ships in each class. For a detailed explanation, there's a dev blog, but if we look at the Rifter, they've removed one high slot and added one low slot. The Tristan, they've added some mass to, the like 88,000 kilograms worth. The Dragoon lost a high slot, gained a mid slot, and gained 5 CPU. The Corax, if I can click on it, lost 150,000 kilograms of mass and gained 50 shield hit points. The Arbitrator gained 120 power grid, also gained 45 CPU, gained a launcher slot, and gained 20 kilometers worth of lock range. That was quite the boost. The Bellicose gained 75 power grid, 40 CPU, and 20 kilometer lock range. The Omen gained 75 power grid, 15 CPU, 125 capacitor capacity, and 39,000 capacitor recharge rate. I don't have a barometer for some of these values, so I'm not sure if this is a drastic change or a minimal change, but it seems like these are big changes. The Stabber gained 2.5% bonus to medium projectile turret rate of fire per level. And lastly, the Vexor lost 100 power grid. So I think some of these are, it looked like, if we look at like the Tristan, it's going to be less agile just because it's going to be a much heavier ship. And the Vexor lost power grid. So between the two of them, it looks like they're nerfing a little bit of the man, now I'm blanking on the name, but on the Galente ships, some of the more popular ones, and they've boosted. I mean, just looking at it looks like some of the Amar ships quite a bit. So that's interesting. We'll see how that unfolds and what that means to the overall market and the meta, as they say. So the Guristas capital ships are next. 3 new Guristas capital ships have been introduced. These can be acquired by finding and destroying the new Guristas shipyards. So that makes sense. We've got the Loggerhead, the Cayman, and the Komodo. The Loggerhead is a force auxiliary ship. It's a Caldari carrier bonus of 4% bonus to all shield resistances. It gets a Galente carrier bonus, which is 5% bonus to remote shield booster amount. And roll bonuses of it's able to fit a triage module, it can use 2 command burst modules, 50% reduction in CPU requirements for command burst modules, 200% bonus to command burst area of effect range, 1,000% bonus to logistics drone transfer amount and hit points, and a 5x penalty to Entosis link duration. That's for the Loggerhead. For the Cayman, which is a Dreadnought class ship, the Dreadnought gains Caldari Dreadnought bonuses of 4% bonus to all shield resistances. It gains Galente Dreadnought bonuses for 5% bonus to kinetic and thermal, extra large cruise, extra large torpedo, and torpedo damage. And as roll bonuses, it can fit a siege module, it can launch light fighters, 1 launch tube, 100% bonus to fighter damage and hit points, and a 5x penalty to Entosis link duration. And lastly, the Komodo, which is a Titan-class ship, gains Caldari Titan bonuses per skill level, 4% bonus to all shield resistances, 15% bonus to extra-large cruise missile launchers, extra-large torpedo launchers, and rapid torpedo launcher rate of fire. It's got a 6+ bonus to ship warp core strength as well. For Galente Titan bonuses per skill level, it gets 50% bonus to kinetic and thermal extra-large cruise, extra-large torpedo, and torpedo damage, 40% bonus to EM and explosive extra-large cruise, extra-large torpedo, and torpedo damage, and also another 6+ bonus to ship warp core strength. As a roll bonuses, it can fit a Doomsday module, a Phenomena Generator module, a Jump Portal Generator module, a Clone Vat Bay module, can use 3 Command Burst modules, can launch light and heavy fighters, 2 launch tubes, 100% bonus to fighter damage and hit points, 200% bonus to Command Burst area of effect range, 500% bonus to armor plates and shield extenders, 100% bonus to torpedo velocity, 80% bonus to the following 4 items: sensor dampener resistance, weapon disruption resistance, stasis effect resistance, and remote electronic assistance impedance. And lastly, a 5x penalty to Entosis link duration. Along with those capital ships, we're getting a Conquered Marshall Black Ops battleship called the... is it called the Aerospace? Yeah, I'm not sure. It's called this Concord Aerospace promotional ship. Will initially be distributed to players who attended both EVE FanFest 2017 and EVE Vegas 2017. After a limited period of exclusivity, it will become available through Project Discovery in the future. And that also answers some of the questions that we had previously. Moving on to structures and deployables. Unassembled ships in Upwell structure wrecks and ejected Upwell hangar containers can now be launched into space. Doing so will automatically assemble the ship. That's pretty. It's like ejecting a life raft from an airplane. You just push it out the door and poof, it's a raft. Bookmarks of structures now allow warping when the structure has been unanchored. This will only affect bookmarks created after the patch. Pilots that plan to use bookmarks after unanchoring a structure should recreate their bookmarks. Okay. This has not impacted. I've never really been affected by this sort of thing, but I also am somewhat of a lone wolf, so those of you who are in larger corporations and have a bunch of structures, anchored places, this might be something that you should pay attention to. Next up, the name of an asset safety wrap now contains the name of the character which sent the items to asset safety if they were sent manually to asset safety and not through structure removal. Mining drones will no longer be able to deliver their ore to a ship that is tethered. The sequence of vulnerability at the time of anchoring has changed for all Upwell structures in all regions of New Eden. The sequence now follows: deploy in space, vulnerable for 15 minutes, anchoring for 24 hours, vulnerable for 15 minutes, online, until scheduled vulnerability set by owner. A new line of Upwell structures are now available: refineries, which we heard about a little bit earlier. These structures are the exclusive location of both moon mining and reactions, and are also bonused to reprocessing activity. Further details about the Athenor, which is a medium refinery, the Tatara, which is a large refinery, the Moon Drill Service Module, and Moon Mining rigs can be found in this dev blog. All reprocessing rigs are receiving upgrades to the breadth of ores that receive their bonuses. Existing reprocessing rigs, or medium, will be consolidated into one variant that applies to all standard ores and one variant that applies to all ice. A new variant that applies to moon goo ore will also be added, reducing the total number of M reprocessing rigs from 4 to 3. Existing large reprocessing rigs, or L rigs, will be consolidated into a single rig type that applies to all forms of ore and ice. Since L reprocessing rigs will now provide exactly the same benefits as XL, we are reducing the cost of XL reprocessing rigs to the same level as L rigs. The strength of the reprocessing bonuses provided by all reprocessing rigs will be reduced slightly, a 1% absolute reduction in the base high sec yield for both T1 and T2 rigs. Okay, all reprocessing rigs, medium, large, and extra large, will be unfitted from their current locations and placed in the Corp deliveries hangar of the structure in which they are located. The owners of the structure will then be able to decide if they wish to keep them in their current location or move them to a new refinery once it has been built. All extra-large reprocessing rig items and their corresponding blueprints will be duplicated to compensate for the change in build requirements and value. All duplicate blueprints will hold the same levels of research as the ones currently owned, Extra rigs and blueprints owned by characters will be placed in the owner's personal item hangar in their home station. Extra rigs and blueprints owned by a corporation will be placed in the Corp delivery hangar in the Corp headquarters station. So, quite a bit changing all around mining and reprocessing, which makes sense. Moving on to the user interface, improvements to quantity tooltips. Tooltips have been added to number edit fields. If the entered amount is above 10K, there will be a tooltip that writes out the amount to help you quickly realize the order of magnitude of the number, so you don't sell your 2 billion module for 2 million. The tooltips have also been added to a few hand-picked numbers, such as the total in the sell item window and the total in the buy window for a single item. For example, 45,343 will go to 45.3 thousand, 25,000 will go to 25.0 thousand, 9999000 will go to like 10 million, and so on and so forth down to a bunch of numbers that will then translate to 15.5 billion. I won't read them all out because that's a lot of numbers. Improvements to the broadcasting radial menu. A new type of radial menu has been added. It is in the shade of the fleet color you have set on your client to help you differentiate it from the normal radial menu. It is activated with a shortcut that's set in the escape window or general. Somebody should have probably edited this. The broadcasting radial menu has selected broadcasts that can be activated on other items, target, warp, align to, as well as other broadcasts. Heal shield, heal armor, heal cap, that can be activated when clicking in empty space or on your own ship. The broadcast radial menu takes into account the broadcast delay, and an option in the menu is not available unless it can be used. Okay, so that adds a little bit of functionality to radial menus if that's how you navigate, and some functionality there to be a bit more directive in your broadcasting. Options to turn off incoming energy warfare and remote repair effects have been added to the combat log and messages window. Added mining messages and bounty payout messages to combat log settings. The item type field in wallet transactions is now wider and has a clear button. The member field in corporation wallet transaction now has a clear button, so it looks like they're giving you more abilities to sort of see and filter the information that you want to see. A text filter has been added to the loyalty point store, which is long overdue, I think. Alliances are now auto-linkable in chat like corporations, solar systems, etc. Number of days in corporation has been added to the employment history tab. Custom offices now have a proper right-click options. These are all things that I would have thought were already in the game, but I guess they weren't. The message field, when adding contacts, is now disabled unless you have the send notification checkbox checked. The ship name in fitting management windows is now a link to the info for the ship type. When a pilot invites you to fleet, the message you get will include a link to that character's info. It's now possible to copy and paste blueprint info from the industry window. Items can now be dragged into the market search field as well as to the filter in inventory windows. The days to complete box when creating courier contracts is now a bit wider. The selected item info on Stargates now includes a color-coded security status of the destination system. Pilot and ship images in the selected item window are now draggable and can be dragged and dropped to chat, which is pretty cool. Added a tooltip to explain that the radial menu shortcut option in the Shortcuts tab overrides any delay set in general settings. Changed bookmarks in the new map so they only show at the solar system level unless you have bookmarked the actual solar system itself. Then you get a marker for that bookmark. Tweaked the point at which bookmark icon fades in and out in the new map if you have bookmarked the solar system. All right. We're getting near the end here. So now that we've covered a lot of that, let's get into the agency. The agency has been changed to a new UI that will act as a hub for almost all PvE content, which is very interesting to me because I do mostly PvE content. You can find more information in this dev blog. So there isn't a lot here on that. You can access the agency from the Neocom or using the Alt-M shortcut. The Crimson Harvest event and associated cosmic sight beacons have been added. This event starts on the 26th of October, which if you're listening to this is probably at the very earliest the 25th. So tomorrow is when the Crimson's Harvest event starts, and you should be aware of that. Now, moving into defect fixes. You've got gameplay fixes where it is now possible to move Plex to Vault when the Plex is located in player-owned structures. Survey probes now correctly expire when the launching pilot is in a structure. Freight containers inside hangar containers. Containers created when upwell structures and wormholes are destroyed are now repackaged like other container types. Fixed various issues that caused attempts to repackage remote items to fail. That sounds good. Removed the non-functional menu option for Corp insuring ships for Corp members with the junior accountant role. Fixed an issue where fighters could be added to the fighter bay of an upwell structure without fighter capacity. Corporation deliveries hangar now respect item limits like other inventory locations. Personal hangars and structures now respect item limits. And it's now possible to compress ore in the corporation hangar of an upwell structure again. Fixed a problem which prevented starting an industry job remotely if the blueprint was located in a container. Fixed a problem with the price calculation of offices and NPC stations. Fixed a hash collision when generating scan signature IDs, which caused inaccessible exploration sites as the warp led to a different object, usually an upwell structure. Fixed a rare case where delayed drone aggression could trigger a Concord response with green safety settings. It's a good fix. Fixes have been made to make New Eden a better place. That's very vague, but I'll take it. Next up is graphical fixes. Fixed visibility of gas clouds when shader quality is set to low. Improved the error message when changing character display settings while editing or creating a character. Fixed an issue where jump portals could appear incorrect. Fixed an issue where the controls could become misaligned when taking character portraits. Adjusted the Imperial Jubilee skins for battleships and capital ships. Fixed the light color emitted by sleepers when exploding. Corrected an audio issue when the Sinofield generator VFX. Fixed an issue when using the map, where using the map can make ships appear to not be damaged. Fixed the appearance of the Concorde SWAT commander. Corrected paired turrets on the Confessor. Corrected an issue with the animation of the pistons on the Mackinac. Prevented changing graphics settings during character customization from returning a user to the character selection screen. Adjusted the duration of the arrow trajectory on selectable targets while warping with tactical overlay enabled. Adjusted transparency on Minmatar station scaffolding. Fixed a crash linked to transitioning between bloodline selection and character creation. Corrected the display of skins dragged onto the 3D preview scene. Improved the frame rate of debris caused by explosions, and adjusted the display of firing effects and rocket trails at wider aspect ratios. So before I move into the last remaining fixes, there's I don't know if you guys listened to the podcast that I host, but last week we were talking about, it's called the Errant Gamer Podcast, and we were talking about how in PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, nobody who really is serious about it is playing with their graphics turned up. Everyone's got it on the lowest setting because for a while people were hiding in bushes, and it was very effective, but only if you had the graphics turned up, because those people who had bad systems and had all their graphics turned to a minimum, the bushes weren't rendering, and so you weren't being very stealthy trying to hide in shrubbery with no leaves. So, side note. All right, localization. Save fitting text is now correctly localized. Under modules, Bastion Module 1 description now clarifies the ineffectiveness of remote repair or capacitor transfer modules. Scout Scoped Quad 800mm repeating cannon blueprint now requires additional materials consistent with other capital meta blueprints. Science and Industry. Industry service settings in upwell structures are now taking effect much faster, and the industry UI updates automatically with updated text settings. Text and description. Appended the weapon timer tooltip to note that it restricts refitting. Edited the descriptions of a few upwell manufacturing rigs to make it clearer what their bonuses apply to, and some obvious various grammar, spelling, and punctuation fixes. And lastly, in the user interface, they fixed an issue where the copy external kill link option would not work if the show condensed combat logs option was checked in the character sheet. Pressing the moon probe and analysis window button in the ship HUD while the window is open now closes the window correctly. Added a warning message when attempting to delete a folder of scan results in the moon probe and analysis window. Shortcut can now be added to the moon probe and analysis window from the settings menu. Made some improvements to picking a certain point in a graph market graphs, mining ledger graphs. Added tooltips for the hyperlink and clear message buttons for messages, notes, and descriptions. The inventory UI updates now properly when a corp member rents an office while being docked at the location of the office. The bio tabs for structures are now correctly named. Clipboard exports from the Moon Probe and Analysis window now show the correct Moon IDs. Fixed an issue where text could overflow from the fleet window. Fixed an issue when the default fleet name could show the name of a different character on the same account. Fixed an issue where it was possible to select a group of items in the fitting window by pressing a letter on the keyboard while holding Shift. Seems very specific. Low security stations no longer always show in the structure browser when filtered for security office. Industry window. The job count is now updating correctly when starting or delivering many jobs at the same time. The tech level attribute will now be visible for many Tech 2 structure module and rig blueprints. And lastly, they fixed an issue where resizing the new map when zoomed into the solar system would not move the system text accordingly. So that is both the long and the longer of the patch notes. And you might expect that they would be pretty long, and you would be right. So I think that this video is probably long enough for you, and I've been talking for quite a while. So I'm not going to go through and click on all of these dev blogs like we were thinking about previously, but if you have a particular interest in that, do so on your own, and they can be found at the community.eveonline.com site under patch notes. All that said, there's an aspect of this that I thought was being implemented where they're allowing alpha class characters to access more skill points, up to something like a limit of 20 million. But the only way to get past the original limit is if you are a subscriber and build those skill points during an Omega subscription window. So once you lapse, you get to keep them up to a limit of 20 million. I haven't seen anything in here about that, so I'm a little wary that maybe they haven't been implemented, but I'm going to click over here and check many of my characters and see if that is actually the case. So thanks for watching or listening, as the case may be. And yeah, if you have anything that you're particularly excited about with this, by all means hit me up in the comments and let me know. And if you think that I am missing out on the game by not being a part of a corporation and just running around and doing solo stuff, then by all means reach out to me and maybe we can join up in the game. But I don't have very much in the way of assets or anything, so there's not much to take advantage of. All that said, please don't take advantage of me. All right. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, and I will catch you in the next video.